Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the Yakima OverHaul HD crossbed bed rack system here on our 2019 Ram 1500 Classic. So if you guys are looking at it, you might be thinking, well, what's this good for? Well, it's going to give you a lot of capability. Obviously, we're getting a bed rack above the bed of our truck. And as you guys are seeing, we can keep it here in our ladder rack position where it's up really high. That's great if we want some more longer items to run across to get above our cab. If we wanted to though, this is actually adjustable, and with just a few couple turns of a wrench, we can actually drop this entire system down. Really, really nice that we have that adjustability. I know my neighbor has the OutPost, which is your Yakima bed rack system as well. However, it's fixed. He loves it. He really likes the quick disconnect that's available on it, which is also available on this guy as well, making it really easy to get on and off. But B, he kind of wishes he had this upgrade because it's really nice. He goes out and he's on his kayak all the time. Just got a really nice one. And I know it'd be great for him to actually be able to shift this around. Right now, he's kind of fixed to what he can do. So that's also a great option if you're not needing the adjustability. The Yakima OutPost can be a great little bed rack system as well. But I really like the OverHaul here just because we have that adjustability, which means we're going to be versatile. We can bring a host of different accessories with us. We can do that in no time flat, which is great. But let's go ahead, start taking a closer look. So what are our expectations with this rack, right? Well, A, I'm looking for something that's quality and something that's going to be durable and going to be lasting us quite a long time. We also want something that actually has the load requirements we need for almost anything we want to throw at it. Secondly, I'm also looking for something that's quick and easy to use. So what I mean by that, I want the option to take these guys off, use my bed of my truck how I want, and what's great is we do have that capability. Thirdly, we're really looking for something versatile. That's really where the OverHaul really starts to shine, especially compared to the other bed racks out there, is you have this adjustability of your height. Like we said earlier, that's gonna be excellent for a variety of different applications and scenarios. Let's go ahead, start taking a look at the overall system. So speaking about quality, you have a really nice tower here. How this system works, we do have our quick connect system that we're gonna show you guys just in a little bit, but basically it is nice and sturdy here. You guys can see even with me yanking on it, it's not moving. Now I will say when you don't have your HD bars installed, they do wiggle just a little bit, but that's because we only have a clamp-on system on our side rail. These are also made of aluminum, so you know it's gonna be holding up well. And what's nice about that too, right? Yes, we have a nice black powder coat finish on here, but just with the nature of ladder racks, usually you're putting heavier objects on here. Sometimes they shift, they scrape, you end up damaging a little bit. A black powder coat looks great and holds up well, but even underneath, if we are starting to kind of be abrasive to it and kind of weakening down that top layer, we're still going to have that aluminum underneath, making sure that we're not rusting, and therefore our structure is going to stay nice and rigid and solid for the years to come, which is excellent. You also do have a nice little locking core here on the inside. You actually get two locking cores. You have one towards our front as well, and that makes it to where nobody can actually mess with our quick disconnect system and take off our towers unless we want them to. Not only is the quality of this build going to be great for lasting us for the years to come, but it's also going to be excellent to give us the support we need to throw up almost any load on here. What's great about it, you do have a 300-pound off-road capacity limit, so that's excellent when we take this a little bit of overlanding, maybe kind of getting to the spot, right? We're going through, we got a lot of gear up top shifting, but it does have a 500-pound on-road capability and an 800-pound static load. So what's excellent about that, you could pick yourself up a very nice tent from Yakima as well, get these guys closer set just a little bit, and then have yourself a nice little tent on top of your truck, which can be awesome. So that's why you kind of get that 800 pounds. That's what it's really great for, keeping those static loads going. And I think that's awesome, right? We can almost handle anything we want to throw at this guy, and that's awesome. What's the big thing for me though is how we can actually adjust our height. So we have our set at like about the 27-inch mark there for ourselves, and all I got to do is simply take my included tool, back off all four of these on either post here that I need, and then I can actually drop it down. So I'm going to go ahead, loosen these guys up really quick. With both of my towers loosened now, I simply need to push down on kind of either side and actually get this down in a line, which is great. So the thing that we're going to have to do though, as we drop that, is to probably actually move these just a little bit. So what's ended up happening here, you guys can see that our bar length is actually going to be shorter. So you do need to also back these off once you get to this point, but I like lowering it a little bit just because it gets a little lower. If you do find yourself getting in a bind though, walk it back up a little bit, start backing it down. So I went ahead and tightened everything back down, and as you guys can see, we got it nice and lowered here. Now I'd probably give yourself 5 to 10 minutes to get this swapped over. If you're doing the full one as well, I'll probably extend that time to maybe about 15. I think really what it's gonna be is kind of getting used to it. What I mean by that, getting this kind of middle post in, or this middle bolt here, closest to the side here, can be just a little tricky. What's helpful, pull down on here as you're kind of locking it in with the hand, your offhand, and then kind of use your tool and start threading it in. Makes it a lot easier to kind of thread into that bracket on the inside. But I really, really like that. That doesn't really take me too long, because I can just go ahead, get everything swapped over to however I want it set up, set it back up in no time too if I needed to, which is excellent, and I really do like how that works. While we're here, we can also take a look at our HD crossbars we have. So I really like these guys, even just on roof rack systems, they work really, really well. I do like these tie-off points we have on the end here. It makes it really easy to start controlling a little bit of our cargo, especially within tandem of our U-bolt there on the side of our overall hull, which is great. And I really do like the HD bars, as you also have this nice little T-slot up top, making it really easy to go ahead and get that in. And that way you guys can go ahead and start putting on all of your different accessories, which is awesome. Now, the only thing I'll say about the HT bars, they are a little bit thicker. So if you guys do have any clamp-on accessories, you might have a hard time getting those to work. Now, usually a good workaround of those is just getting longer bolts, especially if you're kind of like flange style clamp-ons. That's usually a great step to get them to actually get to work for yourself. But let's just go ahead and as we start giving you guys some dimensions, I'll make sure we get that thickness. That way you guys have an easier time getting your accessories on. So I went ahead and raised this up to its highest position to give us a good idea of how it's going to be interacting with our Ram 1500 Classic. And the top here, to the very top of our bar, that's going to put you at right at 51 inches for your max height. That's how much height we're adding to the bed of our truck. And then secondly, how much clearance do we have? And at the highest position here, we have 49.5 inches, which is excellent. I don't think we're gonna have too much issue there fitting a lot of our different cargo. Let's go ahead and take a look here at our rear one though. So here I am in the rear. I went ahead and moved our bed mat that we had in place just to give us a good reading of what we're working with. So from the top of our corrugate on our bed here is going to be putting you right at 40 inches there to the max height. Now our clearance that we're going to be looking at here in our smallest position, that's going to put you at 37 3/4 of an inch. So again, keep that in mind too for your cargo needs again. But with that, I really don't think we're going to have too many issues with the cargo, even in this position. I think the ladder rack style is going to be excellent for moving those big, long, heavy items that we just can't quite fit in the bed of our truck. One other dimension to keep in mind is that we are losing a little bit here on our side walls. As you guys can see, we're at about 1 3/4 of an inch to the very inner side here. And we do have about 2 inches extension with your locking cores and other things on the side. So kind of keep that in mind, but we only have about 19 inches. Now I do have this pad underneath me again. Let me go ahead and check that one last time. There we go. That's giving us a little bit of a reading. It's about 19 3/4 spacing between the bed of our truck. So what's great about these, our little side plates here, really easy to back off with the included tool. We've already gone ahead and removed our locking core, letting us actually back this off. And now we can go ahead and attempt to remove it. So I have my buddy John here with me. I've gone ahead and backed off both sides already. Let me just double check there. Now you can take these off all the way and then reinsert them, but I find as long as you get them right to the very end of the thread, all you gotta do, move it a little bit. John might have his bend just a little bit there. So he's gonna open it up just a little bit more. And here we go. Now we're nice and released. Now I can just walk this off. And now I could take off my pads, right? But they're really not taking up too much room either. This becomes really easy to store these guys in this fixed position, start breaking them down, get them ready for storage, or however you guys want to deal with it. Well, now that we've got a good idea of how it's interacting with our Ram 1500 and the durability and overall quality of it, how do we get it installed? Well, let's go ahead and see how we can do that together. To begin your installation, you just want to go ahead and start taking note of all the hardware that we have. First things first that we're going to need is this little bolt right here, the hex attachment at the top to allow us to tighten it down. We're going to have a little spacer here that we need to thread on as well. It doesn't really thread, it just kind of cinches itself right up in there. Then we have these 2 open holes. That's basically where we're going to be placing these guys. And all we need to do, set them in just like that. And of course on the other side as well. And now we're going to also need our included clamps. So these guys are really straightforward. We have our J-style clamp here, and this little bumper is going to go underneath here and hold ourselves to our side rail. So now this is where things are going to be a little different at home because we've already gone ahead and actually set up some of our other towers here. So the first step for you guys, I like to take it from the front here, the bulkhead, give yourself a good measurement. And a big thing is to keep in mind what kind of accessories are we working with, right? And what do we kind of need to watch out for in terms of where our cab is. So that's something for you guys to kind of figure out at home. Set this how you want, and then take a measurement here to the back. Now we've gone ahead and set it up for something if you were moving like a kayak or a canoe, more of a ladder style rack or ladder rack style, right? If we wanted, we could shift this in closer. So it's maybe we have a, I don't know, a bike rack that wants to be a little closer. We could shift this forward, and that way they're nice and close to themselves, which can be great. So gonna be a little up to you guys of how you want to set it up. But at that point, we just need to walk ourselves back up to our pads, and we can start securing them. So now that you guys gotten where you want it, all you have to do is take your J-style clamp here, place it right underneath. I like to kind of hand thread it to start, just to get it started for myself. That way I know it'll hang. At this point too, we're gonna go ahead and add our other J-style on. Now the only thing to keep of note here, you do want it as wide as you can when you are setting these clamps. So shifting it as far as you can is gonna give you a good solid base for your pad. Now the only reason you might have to shift this over though, there may be something here on your guys' side rails. For most of us with the Ram Classics, I don't think we're gonna have too many issues, but if you guys do have any kind of custom aftermarket or any kind of added things to your side rails, just kind of keep that in mind. That's why you're able to shift it over. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and set my other J-style clamp, and we can start getting these threaded on. Well, I've gone ahead and set my right distance between all of my foot pads. Today I'm just setting about 36 inches from the rear of our front base to the front of this base. But now all I need to do is just simply tighten this up. I'm trying to keep my clamp as flush as I can too. I don't want that turning on me as I tighten this up. And I'm not gonna tighten all the way, because I also do want to tighten my front one as well on this pad. So now that I'm getting a little bit of resistance, I can see it's kind of securing itself. I'm going to move to here and tighten this one down. Again, trying to keep these clamps as far from each other as we can to really give ourselves a wide base for our foot pad. One last little thing, and just kind of one little thing to take note of, you are going to have two locking cord ones. Basically, you want to make sure you're setting that on individual towers, right? That way we are securing it, and that way it just makes it easier for us to actually run any kind of cable locks or anything into it. So these guys are going to be really easy though. We're going to take our smaller hex here, simply insert it, and then going lefty-loosey here. We are going to be backing off the spring that's actually holding us in place. Now, once you've got it backed off enough, you should be able to use your hand. You can see that our plate here, our side plate, is simply going to open up, allowing us to place on our towers. So let's go ahead and grab those and start setting it in. Then we simply need to take our towers. Let's make sure we are grabbing the right one as well. And now that that's slotted in, I can go ahead and take my plate and just start tightening up here. Once that's hand tight, of course, take our included tool one more time and cinch it down. So the next step is actually just to go ahead and actually set the height that we want our HD bars to sit at. So I can simply take our included tool. We're gonna have 4 bolts here. I've already backed off my 2 outside ones. And we just need to insert and loosen these guys. So we can repeat this process on all 4 of our towers, of course. Now that our towers are in place, we just need to get our necessary height requirements. So how do we go about doing that? Well, we're going to need to take our included tool. We're going to have the 2 bolts here on the inside and 2 bolts on the outside. And then we can just simply rise this up and set it to wherever we want. Now, what I like to do is you can go about this a couple different ways, right? First one, you could just take a measurement here, take it from these guys. Now, what I really like to do though, just move yourself to the front of your vehicle towards your cab. And you guys can see, we've already got our front installed. Basically what I did is I went and I saw where I want my bar, and I brought these guys up. I just kind of wanted a little bit above my cab. That way, I did have enough clearance here in the bottom, but enough if I wanted to, I could stick something on top of my roof rack and even extend it on top of my cab. So really gonna be up to you guys, again, of how you want this set up. We found that this is the right height for us, and then all I did was take note of exactly where that's actually putting us on our tower. And that is actually gonna be right at 27 right there, right where it meets itself. And then all we need to do is actually start tightening up these bolts. So you actually can get them hand tightened to start. Be careful, as you guys can see, you can back them off too much and then they want to fall out. So let's keep track of those bolts. That way they're not falling. But it basically just pinches it, as you guys can see right there, and holds us in. Let's of course make sure that our bracket is getting held on to. But yeah, be a little careful because this could end up happening and then it's a little bit harder. You don't need to back them off nearly as far as we did, just enough to actually get it moving. So once you do have those 4 bolts kind of backed off to let you slide this up, what it's gonna be is how do we set that, right? Like what height do we want it at? And that is really gonna be up to you guys. Today, I've already gone ahead and set our forward one here in place. As you guys can see, I just got it a little bit above my cab here. What that's allowing me to do, just to have the necessary clearance that I want, and B, I could also go ahead and actually set up any kind of canoe or kayak, anything that might be longer above my cab with no issues. So again, that's gonna be a little up to you guys, however you guys wanna set up your system. And then all we had to do, once we have those backed off, walk this guy up. Now, what I did is that I just found the right height that I wanted it at. I took it, I looked at my cab, I looked at my front ones, and I saw that they were hanging right about 27 with that hash mark hanging right there. And then all I had to do is take my included tool again and start tightening these up. So, gonna really take no time at all to secure them. And we can repeat that process for all of our foot pads, all of our bolts. Now to actually get your HD bars installed, what you want to do is to simply take your end cap off. There's going to be a little screw that's holding it in, and you are going to have an included wrench to go ahead and pop that off. Then we just need to simply take our brackets, slot them here in this channel, and then replace that end cap because we don't want it to come flying off at us. Don't want those brackets cascading around, causing any damage. And just go ahead and take our screw and re-thread it on. Now that we have our brackets, I like to just kind of get them in a good idea of where we want to be. Now, one thing that can be helpful as well is to stand near the rear of your vehicle and to get a good measurement of these guys, just to kind of eyeball it. So I'm going to have Tom kind of motion to me if I'm pretty good here. Now to my eyeballs, it doesn't look too bad, but it looks like I need to go just a little bit this way. At this point though, really easy to go ahead, flip this over and actually start setting it here in your rails now that your bracket's pretty close. There we go. That one's laying in there. Now I can get my other guy to sit. Sometimes it just takes you shimmying it around a little bit to make sure that it is fitting correctly. It can be helpful too. You kind of want to see, you have this little post right there, and it does kind of want to sit right inside. So your bracket needs to be more towards the inside of your vehicle. So we can just go ahead and do that now. Then we can always kind of slot it right back into position. Now once you've guys gotten a good eyeball on it, I like to go ahead and just take my tape measure, kind of measure from the outside right to where that curve is happening. You guys can see it's putting us pretty close right there to 9 inches or so. I've got that on the other side as well, so I am nice and aligned. Now we can start actually securing our bracket to our post here. So let's go ahead and grab that included hardware, start tightening it down. So we're just gonna take our bracket here and pushing it over until we are nice and aligned, just like so. And now we can start threading on our bolt. Once you start feeling it catch, we don't need to tighten too much, as we do want to go ahead and get our other one on as well. Now that we've got that guy started, we can just come back, retighten these down to our manufacturer standards or their requirements, and then we'll be nice and locked in. So it really doesn't take too much. You're gonna have a pretty good resistance just on this little lever system alone. So really what we're looking for, that we're nice and solid and we're looking good. Well, now that we have our bars up, all we wanna do, go ahead, check all of our hardware and make sure we're nice and sturdy and solid all around our rig. And then we can bring ourselves to our little post where we can actually fit on our locking cores. So these guys just simply get pushed on right there. Take your included key, lock it like so, and therefore nobody can get to our stuff and mess with it unless we want them to. And that does it for our installation. Overall, guys, I really am impressed with the Yakima OverHaul here. I think it just does an excellent job of almost everything we want it to do. That versatility is really unbeatable. Love that I can drop those down. And I think the more time I spent with it, kind of dropping it every now and then, I really did find myself speeding up, getting that dropping down in no time flat, which is excellent. I really do like how we have the ability to take it off really easy if we want to. As you guys saw, just pop those sides off, walk our towers out. However, I think we don't really need to because of that versatility. We can just get this up out of the way. I really don't see us having too many issues with it unless, of course, we're needing access to that side rail. Now, my only thing I'll say about this, probably not going to be great if you do have a tonneau cover. Now, if you do have a retract tonneau cover, there is an adapter to actually get it to mount on there, but I think that's going to be the biggest issue for a lot of us at home. If we already have a tonneau cover, we're going to be pretty limited with this system as it does clamp right there to those side rails, which most of our tonneaus are clamping onto. But overall, I just think it's a really excellent way. I love that load capacity, love that I can get a tent on here, ladder on here, bike rack on here. Really, the world becomes your oyster with this guy, and it starts maximizing your bed space. I mean, what more could you want, right? It looks good doing it. We know it's gonna last us for the years to come, and it's definitely gonna get everything we want to our destination. Well, guys, I think that about does it for our look at the Yakima OverHaul HD bed rack system here on our 2019 Ram 1500 Classic. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.